Here is Mike Lee explaining, this is Senator Mike Lee from Utah. He is explaining what the problem is in this country, why we are in the shape that we're in at this moment. And of course, it's because too much reliance on government.
It still is something that we should worry about from a liberty standpoint when they exercise these sweeping powers. When they say, I hereby declare that you can't go to work, or that you've got to wear a mask and a green hat and a face shield, or whatever it is that they want to do. For the simple reason that, number one, you don't always know.
This guy's such a pig. It's unbelievable. Green hat. Like the mask is just a sort of like, oh, everybody's going to wear underwear on their head today. That's how silly this is. This is just like, there's just like a random exercise of power. Like, how effing irresponsible is it for that a-hole? I mean, if you want to make the argument that having protections that inhibit the spread of a disease to other people is a infringement upon liberty. Like, I don't know why he hasn't been on and on about smoking, like, in this regard too, right? I mean, smoking, there's a reason why in public buildings you can't smoke, because it inhibits other people's health. I mean, even his libertarian ideology, where your right to push your fist ends at my nose. Well, your right to aerosolize the virus during a pandemic ends when it starts to kill other people. How's that? But the idea that he would refer to as like face masks and shields and a green hat, as if it's just like some type of, these guys are just trying to see what they can make you wear to make you look silly. What a effing a-hole.
You remember when we covered the libertarian debate and people said we were unfair because those were just the kooks? It's like, no, right. This is what this is.
Senator from Utah. There's only 100 of these people, and here's one of them in the country. Continue.
Or whatever it is that they want to do. For the simple reason that, number one, you don't always know what state statutory or state constitutional authority pursuant to which they might be acting. In fact, they often don't know. If you dig into these things, very often they're just airballing this stuff. Not all the time, but sometimes they are. It's important to ask those questions. It's also important to ask, to the extent you're intruding on my liberty, even if it's not something that is constitutionally prohibited, and even if you do have statutory and or state constitutional authority to do what you're saying, is this intrusion into the liberty of the citizenry worth it? I think we've lost, as a society, the tendency to engage in this kind of critical thinking with regard to our government. We have societally been conditioned to accept the idea that government knows best. And I think it's important for us to push back on that.
You dumbass. Why don't you go make out with Louis Gohmert?
Yeah.
A little pushback.
Well, you're just because the government tells you that it's you could get coronavirus. Why don't you go hang out in a sauna with Louis Gohmert? Idiot! What an idiot! What an idiot! That type of he should be. Someone should sue that guy for going out there and saying this kind of stuff. It is insanity. It is absolutely insanity. The whole concept of you wearing a mask is an infringement upon your liberty is absurd. It is totally absurd.
They never remember about the NAP.
The what?
The non-aggression principle.
Oh, right. Right.
Oh.
And here's why right-wing libertarians and anarchist types can't ever get along and shouldn't. Anarchists respect experts and they respect science on a level that these people don't.
This whole concept of that personal liberty is being infringed when someone says during a pandemic you need to wear a mask. is just, it's just sheer insanity. It's sheer insanity. Where's the whole thing where the Constitution is not a suicide pact? How come we only hear those guys when it comes to, like, you know, protecting the civil liberties of people who are not white?
Yeah. I like the pivot that he does where he says, even if it is constitutionally, you know, allowed and it does have legal precedent, we got to consider what Liberty might think about this, of getting people infected.
Well, actually, true liberty is being able to use eviction courts to throw out a tenant during a pandemic depression, actually.
Yeah. They're so full of crap.
It is such a pose.
It's so obvious.
It is such a pose.